Welcome, visionaries and change makers, to Lead with LeAnn, where we navigate the waters of business with heart and purpose, airing every week at 2 p.m. Pacific. That's 4 p.m. where I live in Minnesota, exclusively on winwinwomen.tv. I'm LeAnn Lyon, your Chief Joy Officer, here to empower you with strategies, insights, and a splash of fun. Each week on Lead with LeAnn, you'll join me as we delve into the inspiring stories of established leaders and innovative entrepreneurs. We'll uncover just what it takes to build a brand from scratch, lead with authority and grace, and turn business aspirations into tangible success. So anchor down, set your sails, and let's dive into the art of joyful leadership. Get ready to be inspired because your journey to business brilliance starts now. And pretty soon, I'm bringing her forward soon. Lori Osborne is the founder of Chief Solution Architect. That's almost as cool as Chief Joy Officer, don't you think? For Biz Bolster Web Solutions, she designs websites and uses targeted tools to attract and build the know, like, and trust with your prospects. So Lori has over 30 years of experience in technology. Wow, that sounds familiar. And has been a small business owner for over 15 years. So she understands the challenges of small business that small business owners face. So she is married to the love of her life. Gee, that sounds familiar. And they live in near Amelia Island in Florida with their 2 adorable fur babies. So I'm excited to welcome Lori. Lori, are you there? Yay!
I am here.
Hey, Lori, how are you?
So we're basically 2 of the same people, right?
It's really like I could really just, put my name in. It's the same. I mean, 30 years in technology, 15 years or plus in business, web design, and all the crazy nerdy stuff that goes along with that. But what did I miss?
Oh, love of your life.
Oh, yeah, love of your life, right.
Now,
How long
I
have
don't
you
know
been
if you have
married?
fur babies. Do you have fur babies?
I have a fur baby. I've had several. I have one right now, a 17-year-old cat.
Oh, nice.
Very loud
Nice.
at 3 o'clock in the morning, just saying.
My fur babies are very quiet overnight. Thank goodness.
No, it's not good. We are working hard on that one right now.
Kind of
So
hard when they're 17. Change much,
it's
right?
it's rough. It really is. There were 2. Our youngest daughter took one, so he is literally he's just lonely. So here's
Oh,
the kick. My husband actually just called me this afternoon. We celebrate 29 years this summer. And he
congratulations.
said, I found out how many cats we're supposed to have. And I said, oh, really? I said, well, I agree. We need more than one because one is driving us crazy. And he said, yeah, what you do is you take your age, lop off the last number, and that's how many cats you're supposed to have. I'm
Oh
like,
my
there is
gosh.
no chance we're having 5 cats in this house.
Wow. That must be like a cat lady formula. I think he got confused.
I'm pretty sure it's a cat
I
lady.
don't think that applies to happily married couples that have a life. I don't think
No.
so.
No, I don't think so either. And the thought of having another one is fine, but I don't want a future cat to learn his old man bad habits. And I'm talking about the cat, not my husband.
I had that thought so much. We got our puppy when my oldest was 18, and I was
Oh, 18-year-old son or child.
18-year-old fur baby.
Fur baby.
Fur baby,
Wow.
yes.
I didn't
And
know
I was
most fur
afraid
babies
that
got
getting
that old.
another one would send her to her grave, and it
Yeah.
it it did. But I really feel like this is going to sound crazy. I feel like she passed on some of her traits to the puppy on her way out. I mean, because the 18-month-old puppy now has like 25% lab, and she was lab. And I swear she's so much like my Molly. And it's just,
Yeah.
I just go, thank you, Molly. I appreciate
Oh,
you leaving a little piece of yourself with me.
oh, that's sweet.
Yeah, it was hard
Yeah.
losing her.
Well, and I do think there's some degree that I mean, they're empathetic, and maybe Molly was just waiting to make sure that you were going to be okay before she was all right with leaving.
Could be.
So, yep,
Could be.
you never know. It is a mystery. So,
It
love
is.
of our lives. How long have you been married, may I ask?
We just had our 10th, so a
Yoo-hoo!
decade. Yes.
Very cool.
Yes. Yes.
Did you do
And
anything special?
what did we do? Oh, well, we always take a trip around our anniversary, and we went to the mountains in North Carolina. We were super excited, but then I got sick,
Oh,
and then he got sick, and
oh,
we did not realize this cabin was like tiny, and we had both dogs,
oh,
and we had like, they're used to being on the couch with us. We had this little bitty couch where not everybody fit, and we went home early. We were like, this is ridiculous. We could be sick at
oh.
home and much more comfortable. So
That's yeah, probably
yeah, so
true.
not really. I mean, we did, but not really.
I
But we
actually I
celebrate
can
every
tell you
day.
well, I can actually tell you what we did for our 10th anniversary because and our 25th, but not our 15th or 20th. Um,
Okay.
just because I don't remember. But our 10th, we went to Sedona and we
Ah,
bought a piece of artwork, which we still cherish. And
oh,
our 25th was during COVID. So
oh,
there we got to go to, wait for it, Iowa.
wow.
We wanted to go to Dubuque, Illinois, at least. I mean, we wanted to go to Fiji, but that was out of the question.
That was definitely out.
Alaska would have been great, but that was out too. So here we were hoping for Dubuque, Illinois, or Dubuque, Iowa is where we went. We wanted because there's a place in Illinois right across the border. I can't remember the name now. And but Illinois wasn't letting you stay in hotels.
Oh,
So
but
Iowa had
Iowa
houses.
was.
So we went to Iowa and then we crossed the border to go hang out in that cute little city, but it was not really the 25th anniversary of your dreams.
Totally get it.
Other than we were together, which is
That's what matters.
wonderful.
Exactly. That's what matters.
But let's talk about being a nerd.
Yes. Yes.
How long have you been a
Absolutely.
nerd?
Gosh.
When did
I
you know
mean,
you were a nerd?
wow. I honestly don't think I considered myself a nerd until I started websites 8 years ago, honestly.
Okay.
I was surrounded by the techies and I could speak their language. I guess I really started as a technical recruiter. So for 12 years, I was a recruiter, but I don't do anything halfway. So I would really get in and learn this stuff. Like I literally could have gotten a job as a developer, but I would have had no idea what to like even where to start. I would have sat at a computer and gone, okay, now what? But I could tell you everything there. And my favorite search was for a person to actually write the algorithms for cryptography for the cable industry. Oh God, that was so fun. That I was probably a nerd during that.
Okay.
You'd have to be a nerd, I think, to actually enjoy having that conversation with a very dry cryptographer.
Very possible. Have you
Yeah,
ever, are you familiar with StrengthsFinder?
no,
Clifton StrengthsFinder? Okay. I was just
no,
kind of curious. Yeah, you might check it out. My
yeah.
favorite thing to do is go to a used bookstore and look through their business books for StrengthsFinder 2.0, I think it is. And if you look to the back of the book before you buy it at half price and look to see if the card is still intact, then you get a free access to the $15 test if you just do it online. So you can figure it out and do it
Ah,
online for $15, or you can buy the book for half price, get the book and the test.
and that will
That's
tell
for nerd.
me if I really am a nerd.
Not particularly, but what I found is that I always should know this number. I think it's 35 or 34 or something like that number of different strengths that they identify. And then,
Okay.
but it's the lens through which you do your world, your life.
Oh,
So when I found my strengths finder, I was like, Oh, that totally makes sense. That's exactly how I function and process everything.
Interesting.
Okay.
Okay.
So for instance, my top five, and you only find out your top five with the $15 package, but my top one is strategic. And then it makes sense. I love strategy. I love systems, or I love setting them up, especially.
Yeah.
Number two is achiever, no brainer.
Mhm.
My third one is a made up word called intellection, which actually doesn't mean I'm smart. Doesn't mean I'm not, but just that every form of different smart, right? Intellection is about being able to pull together different pieces from different places and come up with a new solution. So kind
That
of
would
fun.
definitely be
I
one of mine. Yeah.
and it's fun when it happens because I can actually almost feel things shifting in my brain and in my body while it's happening. And sometimes I just have to sit there and be like, okay, waiting for the answer. It's showing up soon. And then it
That
just
is,
kind of pops out. It's fun. And then belief and positivity are my four and five, which kind of shows up too.
I like that. Oh, I got to take that for
It's a
sure.
really cool test. It's nothing like DISC or any of those things.
Yeah.
It speaks to how I process everything from how I run my day to how I run my business to how I raise my kids. How you
Interesting.
believe the world is. Every strength has a weakness, but the idea being, if you know your strengths and strengthen your strengths,
Right.
that's where we find the greatest success instead of trying to strengthen a weakness. I mean, where does that get you?
Right. Right.
And this won't tell you your weaknesses exactly, but
Well, but yeah,
you know,
we probably know our weaknesses sometimes better than our strengths,
right,
unfortunately, because
right.
we tend to. I think I've overcome that for the most part, but I think most of my life I focused too much on the weaknesses and not enough on the strengths.
Are
But
you?
I think what makes like what I would say would show up, the thing that I do best is understand the technology and then translate it to English or kindergarten English. I always like to say, like I can, write a document to tell you that to the nth degree how to do something at a kindergarten level so that anybody can read it, which, and that's what I usually did is I'm usually the go between the business and the technical. And now I just get to be both. I get to work with the business direct and be the technical and the analyzer, all pieces of it. So
Yeah, yeah. There's a whole. There's 35. I've only mentioned five, and like my daughter has a unique combination. Her number one is called Woo, WOO, winning others over, and she does. I mean,
oh yeah.
she just does. And she imagined that her first vehicle would be a red truck, and it was. I mean, she just manifest.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. And just people come within her range and they're like, whew, they just get drawn. So,
Now,
uh,
does that include like kind of naturally repelling the people that she wouldn't want in her world?
hmm,
Or does she end up
gosh,
attracting everybody?
I would say that she does not have much of that issue of nastiness in her world at all. So yeah, you're probably right. Good question.
But I think when you have that, especially if you have the positive and that piece of it as well, most negative people don't want to be around
Yeah.
that any more than we want to be around the negative because
Right.
it's like in your face and you're not feeding their negativity and that's
Right,
boring.
exactly. Yeah, but the other two of the other five that she has, one is about being able to see into the future, and another is about understanding how the past got you to your present. So that concept, I mean, I love having conversations with this now woman because she unconsciously does this. This is just how she sees and experiences the world. And since I know that about her, sometimes I can pick up on the different aspects of what's going on and how she's processing things, which is great as a mom. It's
Yeah. Oh
fun.
yeah. Oh
And then my
wow.
husband has five others. So between the three of us, we have 15 of the 35, and my youngest has not taken the test. So
And they're all they're all different. All
They're
three of
all
yours are
15 of
completely
them.
different.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. In
But I'm
fact,
sure they all complement to some
well,
degree.
it's yeah, it's weird. It's not because you don't actually like inherit these either necessarily.
Yeah.
How much of a math nerd are you?
Not as much.
Okay.
Statistics, yes. Math, no.
Okay. So 34 factorial means 34 times 33 times 32 times 31. It ends up being a really massive number,
Yes.
theoretically, and most likely a bigger number than have ever been number of humans on this planet. And so if you take that into account, truly, we are all as unique as snowflakes. I mean, just as individuals, there's been nobody ever with your unique 34 list or me. And in
Right.
fact, it's really unusual to meet anybody that has more than two of your top five.
Wow.
The
That,
statistics on it.
that's fascinating.
It
But yet
is.
we do pick up. I mean, I don't know that I ever believed how much we picked up from our parents because I was raised by a very passive, quiet woman. I mean, my opposite in every way. I didn't know my father. I met my father when I was 23, and I am just like him. And that whole like, oh, now I've forgotten the terminology of raised with someone
Nature versus nurture.
thank you.
Yep.
Yes. It just, I mean, didn't
Yeah.
know him my entire life yet. I mean, he has always been self-employed. He's very outgoing. He's a big talker. And I'm like, where were you my whole life? But I mean, it's like,
I'm sure.
wow. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy how much you can be like someone and not grow up with them. But,
Yeah.
there's certainly plenty of characteristics that, we don't have in common. But yeah, that's like, I
Well,
wish I
I've
could
always
spell
been
like him,
fascinated.
but I can't. I won't.
Well, you think about twin studies, twins that were separated at birth, how much they when
Oh,
they grow up. And I mean, they've been known to meet each other for the first time wearing the same clothes, like
I've never
without
heard that.
planning it.
Wow. Well, yeah, and they generally like their hair will be the
Yeah.
same or
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
They'll marry a person with the same names or, just crazy stuff. Like how in the world? But I love the beauty of that. I am listening to a book right now. It's supposedly a money book, but I think it's called A Pocket Full of Happy Money or something like that. But it's
Hmm.
really a lot about quantum physics and quantum experience that there is only now. And every now is the moment, and every now is the choice. And from now is the division into the observed and the observer. And so there's infinite nows and
Wow.
infinite futures, also infinite paths, which all exist now. So if you got through that, I'm done.
Do we still have you guys?
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like, okay, so now that we've
Wow.
lost
Yeah,
everybody,
that's big brain stuff right there for sure.
it's
Oh
really
my
hard stuff
gosh.
for sure. I mean, it's infinite stuff that gives a lot of people nightmares, quite frankly, because our brains just really, really struggle with those types of numbers. But they struggle with SEO too. So talk about SEO.
That was
SEO is almost that complicated.
it, you know, I had a client ask me the other day that I've had a client, she's been my client for 8 years, and she goes, "What is SEO?" And I went, "How are you my client? Oh, we never had this conversation." It's like, I've never known what it is. So in case anyone doesn't know what it is search engine optimization, and that still doesn't really explain it. It's really just being found online. That's what it
Mhm.
boils down to, being found.
Yeah.
Um, and it really, the way I explain it, Google runs the show. 98% of searches are done on Google. So Google gets to call the shots. And really, what SEO is following Google's rules. At the end of the day,
Which
that's
which
really
they
what we're doing.
publish routinely and openly, right?
No, no, they don't.
And therein lies the rub.
Yes, it's like a big old basket of mysterious stuff you got to figure out. They did in 2021, they made major changes and they came out with a very specific list of 10 things. As far as I know, that is the only time they have been that open.
Huh.
And when I talk about SEO, that's what I talk about primarily are those 10 things because those rules haven't changed and they probably never will, because they really shifted to be more consumer focused. Like we're going to provide websites to people in a way that they would want them. So we want you to have your websites in a way that people would want them. Great example, don't have pop-ups because pop-ups block data. You can't see the data and people get annoyed. So don't do it. Pretty logical.
Very cool. Yeah, yeah, there's a lot. I mean, we're both nerds. We both work in the design space. I do a little more with AI, social media type things. You do more with website design, and I do some design, but mostly I get the concept down. I let somebody else pretty it up. I think you do everything from nuts to bolts, from my
Yes.
understanding.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's just a different way and a different process and different system and everything else. We're not going to get into all that. It's just different. If you
Yeah.
want to check out what Lori's doing, go check out Lori at bizbolster.com. If you want to see what I'm doing, you can find me. Go to leannlyon.com. You can check the stuff out. Work with the person that suits your needs because really, again, we both do very different things in just a very similar space.
Yes.
Don't talk to me about SEO. I'm not going to do it. I mean, I will, but it's not like Lori will. I cannot and will not bill you for SEO because I won't work that hard on it. She will. So there you go. So SEO though, and
It is definitely to me one of the most difficult and underestimated tools out there. And it's it's hard. I mean, it's just hard to accomplish. And there are over 400 million websites online.
that's it.
Last I checked, put it
400
that way.
million. I have 550 myself.
Oh,
For real.
now you're gonna
I
make me double
checked.
check my numbers. Now you're gonna make me doubt my statistics here.
I was gonna say I would bet, no joke. There's 8 billion people. Now I get there's a lot of people that don't have a website. I totally get.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
there's 8 billion people and I would have put bets on over 1 billion websites.
Well,
Are
now
you
you're
Googling it?
I am because I can't stand this. Oh my God. Okay, my numbers were completely wrong. There are over 1 billion websites in the world today, and that was as of January 29th, 2024.
I'm looking for my crown,
Where did
but
I don't
my
know where I
nerd
got
crown.
that
I need
number
my
now.
nerd crown.
Well, there was something in one of my speeches that was 400 million. Now I'm gonna have to go back and figure out what it was. But the point is, there's a lot when we don't like to think about competition. You and I don't fret about competition, but when you're trying to get to the first page, we're competing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And most of us little guys, it's harder. I mean, it's harder. So I tell people focus on your local.
Yeah.
That's where you're going to get the biggest bang is if you start on local, focus on your Google business profile, get on maps on the first
Oh,
page.
for goodness sakes, yes.
If you
Yeah.
can't, yeah, like give up if you can't get on maps on the first page, just go home. Well, you might already be home, but
Well, and I mean, I do. I go to Maps. I went to Maps 3 times last night because, oh, am I gonna say this online recorded?
that's up to you.
Because
Hun.
tomorrow, if I do all the things I said I'm gonna do today, which might take a while, but I promised myself I would go and have my first, and we're talking about tomorrow's the 30th of April, my first caramel roll from this amazing bakery. But I checked online last night I thought maybe I'd go this morning, and nope, they're closed. And so then I thought, okay, well, there's a place across the street from there that has really, really cool clothes, and I need a new pair of jeans before I travel this weekend. So I checked their website on Maps. they're closed on Mondays. I went to another, no joke, I went to another store that I also wanted to check out. They are closed on, what's up with all these little places being closed on Mondays?
I thought that was an island thing. That happens here all the time, but
Really?
that is crazy. It must be the new trend.
Yeah.
That is
Well, I mean, and
crazy.
granted, they're open on the weekends. I get that because that's when people are available. So they deserve to have downtime. But that was just fascinating that the
Three of
three
them.
places I was looking at going, I have to wait till tomorrow. So,
Well, there you
oh
go.
well, I'll get more done.
Celebrate the end of April tomorrow.
Exactly. But yeah,
Or
no,
go on Wednesday and call it the first of May trip, you
well,
know?
I considered that as well, but I have some other plans that morning. So anyway, it's all good. But yeah, Google Maps is a really, really big place to list your businesses. And at the same time, if you're looking for, no, so this is a real story. I found, can you imagine what birch oil smells like?
I would think trees or woody.
Yeah, it actually smells. I'm not tasting it, but smells a lot like spearmint or kind of a wintergreen kind of a, probably
Okay, a
more
wintergreen
wintergreen.
I can see. Okay, I guess, yeah.
And but I needed to get some, and when I went online to find a local place that carried birch oil, it was just not to be found. But I searched for on Google Maps. I searched for essential oils. I did find a cute little place. She just didn't have birch oil. I had ended up ordering it from California. But you know, how and I only got it from California because she referred me to that organization out there. So
There you go.
Maps is going to be great though when you are looking for something local, but not necessarily for finding like where to find birch oil in the
Right,
country.
right. I mean, that's probably my biggest frustration with SEO is there's not the equivalent of Google Business Profile at a national level.
Hmm.
And I hope that Google is doing something about that because the other problem is they're not allowing a lot of national companies to even have Google business profiles anymore. Like you have to kind of manipulate the system a little bit if you're national. And if they're going to do that, then where are people going to put their reviews? If nothing else, where are they going to put their reviews? That's where your Google reviews live, is on your Google business profile. Now they've got shopper reviews for products, but a lot of us do services. So I'm just hoping that they're thinking this through, and the little tip I'll give for those that are national that want to have a Google business profile is don't show that you work more than 2 hours from home in your list of locations, especially when you're applying for one, because that's where they're pickiest, is when you're trying to get verified. And then if you work from home and you don't have people come to your home, you want to definitely select the option that says your services are offered in other people's homes, or, where you go to other people. You don't want to say online. If you say online and all US, forget it. It's not going to happen, which stinks.
Fascinating. Good, good, good tips. Thank you for sharing that.
You're very
I
welcome.
didn't know that either. I know that I did get an address for my business. That's not my home because I do work from home. Didn't figure I needed that out there.
Yeah, but
But
Google doesn't like that either.
yeah,
They don't like it. And I did that once. I did the like it was
oh
it was
snap.
actually a it was started as an office share location, so I had no problem with it. Well, then they closed that office, and I apparently ended up in a Sprouts because my business picture showed a Sprout, and so I turned that off and said, forget it. I have an LLC. You can find my address if you look up. Oh, I shouldn't.
Yeah,
Never
right.
mind.
Yeah,
Your address can be found if
sure.
someone really wants it, but
Yeah, no, absolutely
and
true.
at least you can hide it on Google Business Profile once you're verified, so
Yep.
not out there. But yeah,
Yeah, no, it's interesting, and there's just all these things, all these little kind of complexities to all that we do. Um, it's just, but it's also pretty fun. So, what do you like most about what you do?
I was always the analytical, the communicator, the one that made it happen behind the scenes. What I love now is that I get to literally make it happen. I get to be creative. I have never been creative in my job before. And I don't think I actually realized I had it in me until
Mhm.
I started doing it. I mean, I knew I could decorate my home and you know, I could do things. My family is full of artists, but I'm not an artist by any measure. But now I get to have that creative side and I love it. Like I can start I battle headaches a lot and I don't ever feel a headache when I'm doing it. And to
Mm,
me that tells me like I've heard if you're doing what you love, you don't tend to notice pain as much. And I mean, I could sit for 4 hours straight developing a website and not feel an ounce of pain until I'm done.
yeah, for real. My husband and I are renovating the house that we're living in, and one day he was working on some things, and I heard him whistling and singing, and I just listened and enjoyed it because he does that a lot. I'm very blessed to have him in my life and all the music that I get to experience. He's just great with it. But I walked up to him and I said, "Hon, do you whistle and sing at work?" Because he has a job and
Yeah,
he's the operations officer at a company. And he's gone for sometimes 10, 12 hours a day even, and I don't get to see him. So he took a week off. We called it his staycation so that he could work on our home. And he just whistled away and just, kept humming and singing and all the stuff. And I said, "Do you do this at work?" And he thought about it for a minute. He goes, "No, not so much." And I thought, well, there's an indicator.
uh-huh. Yeah,
That does say something about, are you doing what you love? Mark Twain said it, if you do what you love, you never work a day in your life.
that's
Many
right.
people have said it. But I actually put that on my LinkedIn profile because it's truly how I feel. And it's part of my motivation for getting up in the morning is helping more people do that and have joy
Yeah.
in the business that they're doing.
And
So,
how many people do you know in the corporate world that are actually doing what they love? I mean, unfortunately, I know there are some, but I imagine most people in the corporate world would say no. I don't whistle and hum and I'm not in my passion at work, unfortunately.
yeah, I think so. We talked earlier. My summit is coming up in a couple weeks, but it's coming up again in May and May. Well, it's in May, September, and January, and it's a plan to have this going on every 4 months in perpetual. It's online, so it's easy to get to. But the very top of the website says 41% of Americans dream of having their own business or being their own boss. But flip that number. 59% don't.
Well, that's true. My husband
So,
would be one of those.
right, right. And so, truly, I think there are people who love the fact that they go to work. And my daughter's an example. She loves that she gets to wake up in the morning, grab a coffee, show up, start the clock, do her thing, solve problems, help people, answer phones, do things, turn the computer off, go home and forget about it until the
Yes.
next time she shows up.
Yeah.
And that's not exactly yours and my job as much, although we have it a lot easier than, say, a real estate agent, which I've also had my license. And I would rather do what we're doing with customer service and websites because there's really not a marketing emergency generally.
Yes. I mean, sometimes a website could go down,
Sure.
I
Yeah.
suppose, but yeah, and it's funny. I admire those that can have that kind of job that, in when I was in technology in the corporate world, there was no end clock. We carried our company issued phones and I worked for smaller companies, so everybody was like always on call if there was an emergency. And even though I wasn't the technical one, I still actually I managed testing a lot. So that was still technical and I still had a big responsibility with the testing piece and then, project management. But um, I think and it was so funny because my husband does the same thing, but he's always worked for big companies.
Yeah.
And he didn't have it that like he didn't understand my world. I don't understand why you're having to put in so many hours and because I work for a little company.
Mm.
you know. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I was definitely one that was born to be self-employed. Guess I got it from my dad. But yeah, I married someone that absolutely he thinks I'm crazy.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
I
Well,
don't
and we're
understand.
here to help those that want to be.
Yes.
That's the problem we solve is you and I both in our own ways help people to get their websites out there, to get their promotions out there. Let's talk for a minute about AI. Before I do that, though, I want to say, hey, anybody watching on the live stream, just want to invite you over. Come on over to winwinwomen.tv. So winwinwomen.tv. At the very top of that page, you can click my little picture and come on in. You'll join us on Zoom, but don't worry, you won't be live. Nobody will see you. And you can then be part of our conversation. Shortly, we're going to end the recording but we'll stay on and we'll chat with you. If you have any questions for either Lori or myself, we'd love to have you over here. So,
Yes.
couple things. I have one key question that I like to ask everybody. I'll get to that in a minute. But before
Ooh.
that, AI. How has AI changed your world, both from website development and or SEO?
So far, it hasn't
Okay.
yet.
Okay.
Um, I know of one person out there that is selling build your site in a day through AI. I am hoping that people still recognize the need for a human eye and pulling it together. I actually tried one of those prompts to see what would happen if I said build a website. There's like a chat GPT website
Well,
plug
that's
plug-in app.
what I have.
Okay. I couldn't get it to work. I tried it the other day. I couldn't get it to work, but
Yeah.
I think, the way I look at it is it's a tool that's going to help all of us when and how we apply it. I just started taking some pretty intense AI training because I do agree. I mean, especially in technology, you're going to be left behind if you don't know anything about AI. I mean, might as well just close shop now and
Yeah.
give up if I'm not going to learn it. It's made a huge difference for me in writing.
Yes.
I love to write, but I don't always like to go. I need some help. Like, get me started at least. you know.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
I'm speaking in a couple of weeks and I said, "Hey, I need to come up with a topic. I need a bio and I need bullet points of my talking points and this is kind of what I'm thinking." Done.
yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, that looks pretty good. Let's work in my acronym of joyful in there." Boom,
Ooh,
done.
love it.
I'm like,
Love
"Okay."
it.
So now it's just really taking that and really I'm starting in my case, my AI knows me. It knows my
Right.
business. It knows everything about me. So it's like talking with myself
hmm hmm
but being able to bounce ideas back and forth. It's really pretty cool. But
Oh yeah. I
I
started
did have,
working with images today,
oh, good.
and that I'm really excited about because I can waste hours, and it's unbillable time. If anyone's wondering, I can waste hours looking for the perfect picture,
Yeah.
and it's just that sinkhole. And now now I get, hey, now I can tell it and like,
What you have in
here's
your
this.
head.
Now this is what I want, and then I have to go look for that perfect picture. I can have that perfect picture created and save me so much time and effort and going down the rabbit hole of such wasted time. that's
Just
that's
for
when that done is better than perfect comes into play for sure.
just for fun, ask AI to create a picture of a waterbed. It's very
Mhm.
literal.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I've got to do that. Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm gonna try.
Yeah, I've seen some pretty crazy pictures of what AI thinks a waterbed would be.
Oh, how funny.
Very
Oh,
cool.
that is hilarious.
Yeah. Well, I had a friend reach out to me today, in fact, and she's like, okay, I've never done anything with AI. I need to do X, Y, Z. How do I do it? And I'm like, well, and she's like, I have Grammarly. I'm like, you know what? I'm pretty sure Grammarly AI is going to do exactly what you need. Just tell it what you have in mind, let it write,
Yeah.
the thing you have in mind, and then you can tweak it from there. And so I'll check in with her later. She reached me at a time when I just didn't have the flexibility to answer her
I did not
question.
know that Grammarly had that extra piece to it.
Pretty much everything
Oh, I
is
didn't know
starting
that.
to. Yeah. I mean, it's in Word, it's in Microsoft Word,
Yeah.
it's in Zoom. It's pretty much it's AI has already made it a lot of places. And within 10 years, I hear we're all just going to have it embedded in our heads. So there we go.
We're gonna have like a chip or
Yeah.
oh,
Well,
well,
you can already embed something. I think Amazon has it again. Haven't verified this, but I've heard you can embed something into your hand. So you can just scan your hand
oh, okay.
instead of having to, carry a messy card or something like that. I don't know how you program it, but I'm sure there's a website.
Well, I look at it that I always have my phone on me, so I can pay with my phone, or I don't know. Wow. That's when I start thinking, I can go down that like thinking about Terminator and
Uh-huh. Yep.
go down the like scary path
Yep.
of where we could go. And I usually just try to shut that off as much as possible and go happy path.
Yep.
It's gonna be helpful to us. And
Well, I'm all about it's garbage in, garbage out. What we put into it, we'll get out of it. Let's make sure that happy, positive people like you and me do contribute to it. In my world, I'm, faith driven as well. So I teach my AI. I don't use OMG. I don't,
I
I'm like,
love
nope,
that.
that's outside of the realm of what I'm comfortable with. I don't use swear words. I just don't. But I tell it that so it knows that people like me exist in the world because it
Oh, yeah,
knows.
right.
So it's because it's
That's
taking
yeah,
in everything it's learning from all of us and
right.
every nuanced thing. So I treat it basically like a big child, a smart child to say, look, that's not okay. This is not acceptable. This is
Does
what
it have a name? Have you given it a name?
it's LeAnn AI.
Okay. I have a friend that teaches AI and he says name it and refer to it by name and be very kind to it
Yeah. Yep,
because
I am.
someday it could turn and you want to be on its good side. So
Indeed.
mine is named Lucy.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Hey, Lucy. Yeah, if I ask it, what's your name? It tells me I'm LeAnn AI. I am the
Nice.
virtual version of LeAnn, and it'll tell me all about myself. It's pretty cool. Well, last question before we go, and I know that we had talked about, boy, there's so many things that we could have done here today. There's so much to talk about. One, um, oh, I don't even know where to go right now. Suddenly I'm like, oh, there's too much. You mentioned as one of your like things about you that, your belief, your positivity is just shown throughout this whole conversation. You laugh a lot, you have a smile on your face, but you have something going on in your life that most people wouldn't expect, and you shared that in one of your three takeaways and lessons.
You must be referring to my brain tumor.
I am.
Yes.
Yeah.
I do have a meningioma, which is they're usually benign. It's a benign brain tumor that 2 centimeters by 2 centimeters that's right on my pituitary that loves to mess with my hormones and loves to give me headaches.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, I look at it. This tumor is why I do what I do. It got me out of the corporate world. I spent a year recovering and going, okay, if I don't go back to work, what am I going to do to just be busy and be productive in some way? And I built a website called Health Nut Like Grandma around health, and I had just lost my mom as well. Both my mom and grandma died at 63.
Oh.
And so I was just talking about that and then the brain tumor. And that's when I fell in love with websites and went,
Mhm.
this is what I'm going to do. So I'm grateful for this. It's annoying at times, but I'm grateful for it because
And the
it,
takeaway specifically that you said to me is if I can run a thriving business with a brain tumor, you too can succeed. So again,
Absolutely.
your belief in positivity, whether you're not, you have both exactly, but that shines through in all of this. You also mentioned that our mindset and resilience impact success so much more than our skills and how hard we work.
Yes,
I think we did actually touch
absolutely.
on that in many ways. I love to hit these kind of at the end because most of the time this has shown up in the conversation. And nobody would naturally bring up usually brain tumors. But and then finally when we follow our passion, oh wait, that's the Mark Twain quote.
Yep.
Work doesn't feel so much like work and challenges are easier to overcome. So here's my final question. When you were, I'm going to ask you to go back in time, although
Okay.
everything is now, remember.
Yes.
Um, Go back in time to when you were, say, 8 years old or so. We're talking third, fourth grade. Not little kids, but certainly not anywhere quite at a teen angst issue. And you can picture like a beautiful afternoon. What were you doing?
I would have been outside
Mm-hmm.
and playing. I can specifically see bicycling, playing with Barbie dolls, or skating.
Okay.
Those were my things. And always with people. Always, always with. I was an only child, but I always sought out. I had to seek out kids, because they weren't around. So always, always with friends.
Yeah. So were you going to their houses or the park, or were they coming over to you?
Just in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
My favorite place that I lived a lot of different places, but my favorite place was on a cul-de-sac.
Uh-huh.
I've always wanted to go back to living on a cul-de-sac just because there's a closeness that comes from that you don't get on normal streets.
Yeah.
But just kind of playing in the neighborhood for sure.
Very
Yeah.
cool. I have lived on a cul-de-sac my whole life, including two today. So
Oh,
I agree. You are correct.
mm,
1.5
yeah.
years or so, a couple years of apartment living. But other than that, every home I've lived on since I was 7 is in a
Yeah.
cul-de-sac.
I wish I had that here. Instead, we ended up with a beautiful open space behind us, and we're far back from our neighbors, and we have a pool, so we have peace and serenity in our back. So that's what I gave up the cul-de-sac for.
Well, you mentioned island. So, that beautiful open space that does it happen to be, the Atlantic or something?
No, no. The island is over the bridge. I'm in
Okay.
Yulee, and the island is 15 minutes over the bridge, but not far. And it's an amazing island. I mean, it's um I've been to lots and lots of places, and I will pick our island over anything on the southeast side of the country for sure.
Okay, awesome. Well, very cool. Yeah, I like to ask that question about it because I often find that there's an overlap that when you find your happy space in your work, that there's some tie back to that happy time. And it's a relatively short period of time of our childhood, really, if you think about it. Until age 7, we are
Hmm.
still learning. Our brains are still developing in many ways. I mean, they're developing till we're 25, don't be wrong. But until 7, we don't end up with a lot of memories before 7 because we're not holding on to a lot in our conscious mind. It's more all subconscious. But that 8, 9 year old time frame before the hormones really start kicking in and messing everything up is really a precious time. And if we can connect to that, it's kind of my theory that we find ourselves happy. And my 8, 9 years old, we didn't quite have computers.
Yeah,
Um,
we didn't
but
either.
fourth grade is when I got a computer in my hands, and so I was 10. And that was the start of I mean, I just found so much joy sitting at a computer at 10.
See, I was not around a computer until high school, and when I was in journalism, like that was really my first exposure to a computer. So yeah, I also did a lot of writing growing up. I wrote a lot of poetry, which I haven't done in years, but
Maybe it's time to pick it up.
maybe,
Yeah.
maybe. I do still love writing. It's just I
Yeah.
don't make enough time for it.
Well, that being outside and the creativity, Barbie dolls, I mean, that's creativity as well. So it sounds like you've come back to that creative side of you, which is
Yeah,
beautiful.
yeah, I think I ignored it far too long in my life. So I'm
Oh,
very
bring
happy.
her back, Lori.
That's
Bring her back.
right. That's right. Absolutely.
Well, I do want to say thank you for joining me. And I know you have a gift that you had offered as well on your website. You want to tell us what that is? It
I'm
was your
trying to
gift.
remember what I put,
Give me the
Leanne.
link. It's okay. It's bizbolster.com/gift dash for dash you. So it's
Yes.
gift for you with dashes between the words.
Yes.
And so it's just on your website. And
Yes. So that's going to be my ebook for sure, which is just basically the basic of things to remember when you're doing a website, and basics for SEO. And these are all things that anybody can do and apply. And it's also, there's some in there about how to pick the person you're going to work with if you want to pay someone. So things to consider for that as well. So,
wonderful.
and I'm just trying to remember if I what else I have on that page. So I apologize.
No, it's all good.
I
All
should
good.
have looked at my form again before we got on, you know?
Well, it's funny because we often, especially for our own businesses, we work on other people's businesses all the time. It's hard to always get back and recheck. Like, is mine up to date? Do I still offer that? Or hey, maybe I'm sending an email that refers to, oh, never mind. Um, inside joke, folks.
Yep.
It's
Oh yeah.
great.
And that's where a good
Wow.
SEO check will come in and see if your backlink or your links are broken on your website or a website review.
For real. Well, we over exceeded our 30-minute usual, but it was so much fun nerding out with you today,
Yes.
Lori. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
And I hope that and know that we will probably be in touch again in the future. So,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hope
yeah.
to see you at your summit.
Yeah,
Um,
wonderful. Yay. Yeah, by all means, go to anybody else listening, go to leanlion.com. If you missed the one in May, come to the one in September. We will be doing that ongoing for business owners. So, to wrap up, I'm going to
awesome.
say to everybody listening, recording or live, thanks for joining me here on this journey to unleash your joyful business potential. Remember, leadership is a voyage we take together. So keep shining and aligning with your purpose. So come back next week and every week at 2 p.m. Pacific time, exclusively on winwinwomen.tv for our next inspiring episode. And until next time, this is LeAnn, your Chief Joy Officer, signing off. Keep leading with heart, and I'll catch you on the next wave of success. Farewell and keep spreading the joy.